Oh, there we go. Okay, we're away. Sorry, carry on. Sorry, mate.
Okay, so everybody, let's just start again. So I won't go over who Fortec are. We've done that. You know, I'm Sean. I work for Fortec. Here we go. So Pan Finder. So yeah, it does exactly what it says on the tin. There's a pretty big clue in the title. For anyone that doesn't know what PAN stands for, it's primary account number, which is obviously the long number on your credit card. So Pan Finder is a comprehensive payment card data discovery solution. It searches your HPE non-stop systems for hidden and unmasked payment card numbers and mag stripe data. To be fair, you've all had 5 minutes to read that, so you probably know it better than me. To be fair, that really does sum it up. So where does Pan Finder fit into an organisation? Regulatory compliance is the name of our game, really, and there are 3 areas to that. So firstly, when defining the regulatory scope of your systems, and you need to prove where sensitive data is stored, without Pan Finder, this task is time consuming and really difficult, being able to find out exactly where all of your sort of sensitive data is. Secondly, once the scope is outlined and a plan to secure your systems is underway, Pan Finder will ensure you have all areas that do have payment card data will be instantly highlighted to see what you've missed. So basically, once you've implemented the security to secure everything, we'll be able to show what you've missed and make sure you have got everything. And finally, once regulatory compliance is achieved, Pan Finder will prove ongoing compliance and ensure nothing slips through the cracks. So in short, it's virtually impossible to know you are completely compliant without Pan Finder, but it's even harder to prove it, and that's the real key here. And I want to reiterate the importance of ongoing compliance. The focus should not just be on achieving compliance on the day your QSA signs off your audit. It's about proving that you are compliant day in and day out. We've all read about hundreds of breaches, I'm sure. Many of these have been with companies that have achieved PCI compliance. But do we think any of these companies are actually compliant on the day they were breached? Well, no, they weren't. If PCI, as we know, is pretty all-encompassing. If you are completely compliant, the breach shouldn't happen, right? But we know things fall through the cracks, and they weren't monitoring for ongoing compliance, and this is when mistakes happen. We're the only solution that does this on the Nonstop platform. We've spent 10 years constantly improving and refining Pan Finder to be quick and accurate. So a solution like this is only useful if it minimises false positives. We live and die by this false positive thing. If it just produces long reports full of values that might be a PAN, then you might as well not bother. I mean, there's no value in that. But that's where our knowledge and constant ongoing development have paid off. This is far from a product that just does a simple run check on your data files. The solution is obviously enterprise ready. So as well as inbuilt reporting and EMS alerting, it will allow you to send alerts off box to your SIEM solution, whatever that might be, via syslog. Scans can be ad hoc or scheduled and are completely automated. You can do full or partial scans of your systems. And following a full scan, you can just have subsequent scans only look at files that have changed since the previous scan. So we're trying to keep things as quick as possible. There are a whole host of configuration options, all there to make the scans faster and more accurate. Okay, so one thing I do want to mention is we pretty much finished with the development of the next set of functionality for Pan Finder, and this will allow you to also search for PII data, personal identifiable information. So not just PANs, it brings all of the searching and false positive detection functionality to any piece of data you want to find. So national insurance numbers, social security numbers, passport numbers, names, addresses. To be fair, it can be configured to find pretty much anything you want. So a question we get asked all the time actually is where have we found payment card data? And the short answer is pretty much everywhere we've looked. TMF audit files, application log files, third-party tool log files, third-party application log data, audit files, test environments, dev systems, personal subvolumes even. And these are just some of the highlights. One thing I can say, we have never, ever done an initial scan of a system and not found payment card data in the clear. Never in 10 years. So now I'm going to try with all this technical stuff going on. To be fair, I don't think I could be much worse than Colin. So I'm going to try and play a short video which shows how the product works. Now, don't worry when you see a load of 6530 screens. This isn't a product that needs a big, glamorous, GUI front end. It's simple to install and configure, and once running, it just chugs away silently in the background, scanning your systems real time. Right, so let me just see if I can get a... So I click New Share, I click Advanced, I click Video, and I click that, and I press Play. Now, you should all be seeing that video.
I'm Greg Sweetosh from Fortec Software, and today I'm going to give you a short demonstration on PanFinder, which is a utility that scans your non-stop system looking for credit card or payment card data. So simply what I do is I run pfinder, which is the PanFinder object, and it will go off and search my configured file set looking for payment card data or PANs. Now I have quite a small file set, so it should finish quite quickly. You can see then that as it's run, or when it's finished, it prints up this summary information. So it shows me where my config files are and so forth, when my scan was started and completed, who ran it, all of that kind of information. It shows me that we searched through 97 files. We found one file containing PANs, and that file looks like it was containing 6,537 of them. Now I've configured output. You'll see here in my viewpoint screen there are a number of events that have come out. You may want to send the events to EMS, or you may not. It's all totally configurable. How much you send, what you send, whether you send it at all, is all fully configurable. I've also configured PanFinder to send data out to my SIEM, which in my case is just this little syslog server. And you'll see that this red one here is where the file has been detected containing PANs, this particular file, and the number of PANs and so forth. So obviously on a SIEM such as Splunk or ArcSight or something like that, you can parse the data as it comes in, and you'll have the columns all set up ready to go, so it's a lot more readable than this. Now what we will do is we will download the reports that PanFinder produces. So let's go to the right subvol here. Where are we? Oh, it's not going to help. Okay, and we will bring down our PF summary and our PF report files. Now, the reports are much easier to read. Typically, the way we see a customer using PanFinder is it will run, hopefully we'll find no PANs, and so it will just chug away, and eventually when it does, it will identify that in its writing to the SIEM. So at that time I expect that customers would come along and will read the reports to see what is there. So I'll just get rid of that old file. Now if we go into Excel, you'll see up here I've got a little macro that I run. This ships with PanFinder. It's up to you whether you use it or not. Obviously I find it useful, and I figured that others might also. So if we open the summary file first of all, okay, and we'll make that a bit bigger. Right, you see the summary file just gives very basic information. It tells us obviously the date and the time when the particular pans were detected in this file, the file name, the number of pans detected, and then some information about the file. Okay, so obviously this stands out as something quite substantial. There's a lot of pans in this file. We want to see what they are. Whether it's legitimate, a part of the application, or whether somebody is using production data for testing or so forth. So if I open my report file, this will give me a lot more detail. Okay, we'll make this one larger also. Now you see in this file, this tells us all information about the run, such as when Pan Finder started, the expiry key information, and so forth, details of our file set, and then it actually lists all of the pans that we've found in the file. Now this again is configurable. We don't have to list all of these, but maybe it's useful. We also have a scanning utility that can search for an individual pan and show you where in a file it actually exists. You'll also notice that all of these pans are masked. It's not possible to remove the masking, but you can actually increase the level of masking in your pans that are detected in the report. So there you have it. That is very quickly what Pan Finder does. Hopefully you can have a play with it. You see what it does for yourself. There's some demo data that we provide with the tool, so you can get up and running in really only 5 minutes. You'll be up and running your first scan, and then when you run it for real, I hope you don't find any pans.
Okay, right, now sharing's gone off. I have to reshare my back to basics, screen 2, share. Okay, we can all see that again now, can we? Yep, okay. So thanks for that, Greg. I don't know why I'm saying thanks, that was a video, he's not like he's here. So that's Pan Finder. I hope that sort of gives you a bit of an overview of what it does. And moving on. So our second product then is, the one I talk about, is Integrity Detective. Integrity Detective, or ID as we call it, has been in the market now for about 4 years. It's an extremely robust solution. And again, in a sentence, what does ID do? Integrity Detective, we feel, is the most feature-rich, real-time file and subsystem monitoring solution available on the HPE non-stop server today. It monitors all of your critical files and subsystems in as close to real time as possible. I'm always confused by organizations that use a snapshot style monitoring solution. How can you be happy to read about a problem hours or maybe even days after it's happened, when real-time monitoring obviously allows you to be notified about things straight away, allow you to pinpoint the problem immediately and take the appropriate action. It covers both Guardian and OSS files, NetBatch, Pathway, SSH. It detects newly added or deleted subvolumes. It obviously covers all safeguard objects and configurations. Another neat feature is its ability to monitor all native non-stop subsystems and also a whole host of third-party products. Basically, it will monitor anything with a COM interface. ID audits all actions carried out from within the product. Security and what you have access to within the product is all dependent on your Guardian user ID, so we don't have any separate user database to manage. It's a client-server application with the server portion including the database and all configuration files residing centrally on the non-stop. There's absolutely no other server hardware needed, so security of the application and the database is all on the platform we know and love, which in turn makes deployment and management a doddle, really. It also has very powerful change detection capabilities. So if something is changed, then change back to its original state, ID will catch that and obviously alert on it. The product comes with comprehensive alerting and reporting, and is also enterprise ready with the ability to send alerts to your enterprise SIEM, whatever that may be. ID will also integrate with Tripwire, which for those that don't know is pretty much the industry standard enterprise file integrity monitoring solution. We focused a lot on the user experience with ID. It's quick and easy to install, set up and configure. So now I'm going to show you another short video where Greg will run through the look and feel. So bear with me again.
Hi there, I'm Greg Sweetosh from Fortec Software, and today I am going to be giving you a whirlwind tour of Integrity Detective, or as we like to call it, ID. Now I say whirlwind because ID is packed full of features and we're only going to take a very quick look at some of these today. Now what ID does is monitors files and subsystem parameters on your system to make sure that if they change, you know that they've changed. It's highly configurable. You can monitor basically whatever you want. Choose what you want to monitor very, very quickly. So if we jump right in, the first thing is file integrity monitoring. Now this is obviously a requirement of PCI DSS, and you can see here we have all of our, well, firstly, all of our volumes are listed. If they have files that are being monitored on them, they will show as blue. If they have watched subvolumes on them, so that's subvolumes that are being watched for any files that might be added or removed from the subvolume or so on, then that's what we call a watched folder. And so we can see, for example, this AAA test 1 subvolume here is both a watched folder and it has files underneath that are being monitored to see if they've changed. Now we monitor using SHA-256 and also last modification timestamp, and you have the capability of configuring when you want to check for each of them. Right, so we also have OSS that's fully supported here. You can see the same concept. We have watched folders and monitored folders in here. Just the etc one itself is a watched folder with all of these files that are in here being monitored. Our list of watched folders then is over here, and that's what we have, these ones down here in OSS and these ones up here in Guardian. Now we also monitor subsystems, and the reason that we do this, the subsystems we monitor are Pathway, NetBatch, persistent processes in ZZ-kern, and so on. The reason that we monitor these is because it's all very well to monitor files to check that they've changed, but if you're monitoring, for example, a Pathway program and or a Pathway server, sorry, and the program has changed, then it doesn't matter that you're monitoring the initial program. It's no longer what we're running in our Pathway. So you will want to be monitoring your Pathway servers and make sure that the programs that they are configured to run are what you actually think they are. Likewise with NetBatch for the in files. Obviously, if the in file of a batch job changes, you're no longer necessarily running whatever you think you are, and the in file will obviously execute, or the batch job will obviously execute anything that is in the in file as the particular owner of the job, and if that's super or a other privileged user ID, then that can be significant. Same for persistent processes. And then other subsystems that we monitor as well, we monitor safeguard. So here we have users. I won't go through all these individually, but disk files is subvolumes and volumes, and processors, subprocessors, and so on and so on. Safeguard groups, object types, SEEPs, and so on. And then we have as well SSH we monitor. That's obviously something else that you need to make sure that you have tied down securely. And we also have this feature in here, COM programs. So you can actually configure in here any program, the parameters from any program that has a command line interface, such as DRNet or Shadowbase or something like that. You can actually monitor in here. And we're not going to do that one right now, but there's also a very extensive help feature. So if you hit F1 at any place within the GUI, this is a little hard to see. I'm sorry about that. I'm not sure I can do much about this at the moment, but you will see that it just brings up information about that particular subsystem or whatever panel you're in. Now our welcome screen here, we've got a tree that shows shows the system that we're on and all of the different things that we are potentially monitoring. Now I'm going to change some things and we will see how ID picks them up. So I've got, if you recall, this was a watch subvolume, so I'm just going to create a file here called ffffff. Right, we're going to do that. I've got another monitored subvolume here, GS test, so I'm just going to modify one of my files in there, DEF. Okay, this is still a test file. Okay. And I'm also going to change my pathway. I'm going to add my own server in here. I've got a little server that I'm just going to add. So this may be legitimate or may not be. So you can see I've just added this server here, hack server. And it could be doing anything. It's obviously going to run as the pathway owner, which could be our application owner, could be a super user or some other privileged user ID. And I'm also going to modify one of my batch jobs. If we have a look at this actually. So you've got, in a real customer environment, you'll obviously have many batch jobs. I've got a mock-up job here for like base 24 reconciliation reports, for example, and that's running, you know, some particular report out here. But if someone were to come and change the in file, then this is going to run as my base 24 owner whenever it next runs. And that could be doing anything as that owner. So I am going to change the in file of that job. Right, now ID takes a little bit of time to loop through the different subsystems and files, but you can see it's already picked up. My FIM file has changed. If we go in here, it's already showing us that I've added this file, FFFFFFF, and we have a failure here in the fingerprint. If we go and, oh, you can see my watched folders is now also picked up. So if I click on that, it will take me there. It again is telling me that I have a mismatch in my subvolume here because it's not the same as it was, and obviously the FIM files shows us what it was. So if we look at the transition history, we can see that this mismatch has occurred. Right, so if I go to NetBatch, then again it's going to show me that it has failed. It's going to identify that something looks like it could be wrong here, and So the date that my netbatch job was last altered has changed, and we can see here the in file has changed from pro1 reps.env38 to Greg's set of commands, whatever they might be. Okay, now when we discover, well, actually, let's go out here first, because at the same time that this is all happening, we also have, we're writing in real time or near enough real time to our SIEM device. Here it's my little syslog server, but in actual fact, it could be, you know, in an organization, it could be Splunk or ArcSight or something like that, whatever the corporate SIEM is. So you can see a message has gone through saying that I've added my hack server to $demo pathway. Lots of other messages you could be filtering on potentially, but my fingerprint has changed here for that file, DEF. My watch subvolume has changed, and my netbatch properties have changed as well. So you can see that this is identified. So typically you're expecting nothing really to change, typically on a production system. When something comes through to Splunk or ArcSight or whatever, it should trigger an alert. Then I can go and examine here on my GUI and see exactly what it is that's changed. So that's all we're going to look at today. I think you can see that there's loads of reports and everything is monitored in here and audited. If I change any configuration parameters, that also is fully audited. That also will write to my SIEM device. Same if I change any user permissions and so forth. Users can be configured to be read-only or have full capabilities, and they can be added on each on a individual subsystem level. So many features in here. So the best thing to do is to get an evaluation version of this piece of software and play with it to your heart's content and check out the integrity of your system.
Okay, back to screen 2. Right. Okay, I should be back on there then now. So yeah, John, Mr. Bycroft's been giving me the hurry up, so I'll be as quick as I can now. So I hope that showed you a little bit about what ID is all about. Both of those videos are available on our YouTube channel, by the way. So in summary, ID was designed and written by HPE non-stop security professionals with many decades of experience on multiple systems at many organizations that have hands-on experience of doing security reviews, performing security configuration, administration, and management functions. It was developed to be a product that offers the exact functionality set that is required for the task at hand. It comes with nothing you aren't going to use and everything from an integrity monitoring solution that you are going to need on a daily basis. It's real time, it's non-stop based, and it's enterprise ready. I feel like Sridhar now. I'm trying to go as fast as he was talking. I can't talk that fast. Right. So quickly then about our HPE relationship. Everything I've talked about today is available from HPE. We're pretty proud about that. We support being via the GNSC in the usual way. So if you have any questions or would like any further info, then please reach out to the HPE guys and girls. I don't think I need to say anything else about that. And that's it from me. So contact details are on the screen. Any questions? Although John's probably not going to give me time for them. Thanks, folks.
I'll give you the 1 minute notice. Are there any questions? That was a great presentation. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll close the room in 1 minute.
Looks like I've bored everybody.
You didn't thank Greg the second time.